Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Jason.
And this is Ghosts and Bears, the only podcast where we bring you the actual ghost stories
With the actual history.
in the actual place. This week on Ghosts and Bears, we're off to Wharf Street, where we're going to be going to a couple of buildings, one of which I figured out was haunted before I even knew there were ghosts running around Victoria. Coming up on Ghosts and Bears. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Good. I want to welcome everybody to this episode of Ghosts and Bears. We're going to be talking about Wharf Street.
Yes, Wharf Street.
What are your impressions of Wharf Street? When you think Wharf Street in Victoria, what do you think of?
Lots of activity.
Tourists.
Right. Yeah, it's right downtown. It's busy, bustling. The Japanese have a word for that. It's nigiyaka.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a holistic word. It's like busy, bustling, noisy, entertaining. It's a one word that describes the whole atmosphere.
Excellent. Well, I learned something today.
Yeah, I think some people did. Maybe not.
Wharf Street is one of the oldest streets in Victoria.
Oh, one sec.
What's that?
Dick from UVic. He can go fact check that. Nigiyaka.
Is he our official fact checker now?
I'm hoping so.
I'm pretty sure he's no longer listening. I think we may have pushed him over the edge with that.
Oh, well, whatever. Say Livy. Anyways, to whoever you are out there, you stay safe.
Wharf Street is probably one of the oldest streets in Victoria. It's quite high up from the waterfront. The only thing on the other side of Wharf Street are a whole bunch of old buildings, a lot of which have been knocked down to put in parking lots. But that used to be literally the street where the wharf was. And so you could bring your ship right up to the wooden wharf that ran behind the buildings, and you could load your goods directly into the buildings that were there. So most of the buildings have 2 or 3 stories at street level and 3 stories below street level. So while the buildings look a certain height, if they face the water, or back onto the water, I guess I should say, then they're actually really big buildings and were used for storage and stores. There was a lot of shipwrights, all that kind of thing. And then, of course, Victoria changed and everything became touristy. So those buildings became great big tourist things. But before we even get to that, how has your week been?
Oh, it's been pretty good. Busy as always.
Busy as always. You sold some cars and
swapped them out.
And
bought some, sold some.
Oh, the usual. We had a really great Saturday with 2 of our patrons, Kyle and Charlotte.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Ace, and we had a lot of fun. And we went to a few haunted places.
Yes, we did.
And then a not haunted place for dinner.
Yeah, it was good.
But we had a really great time with them, and we're really grateful we were able to do that. My mom was also here.
Yeah, she was.
So she hung out with us
busy.
and put up with the ghost talk, which she has no time for and does not believe in the slightest.
Well, to each his or her or them, theirs, their, I don't know. Own.
Yes, to each their own. And then today we're recording this on actually Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to whomever.
To whomever, or it passed, but whatever.
All our listeners, well, male ones that are fathers, I suppose. Happy Father's Day. There could be sons out there.
You're really reaching. You're really reaching.
Who knows such things?
And we took my mom out for breakfast, and then we took her to the ferry and said goodbye. And then came home and jumped in the little sports car. And what did we do?
Oh, we did the circle route.
And what is that?
Oh, you basically drive from Victoria out to Port Renfrew, and then you take the highway. It's kind of a forest.
It used to be a logging road.
Yeah, a logging road.
But now it's actually a
road.
road.
Paved. It's called the Pacific Marine Route. And you take that over to Missachi Lake, Lake Cowichan, into Duncan, and
over the Malahat Mountain
to Victoria.
and back into Victoria. It's a very lovely route.
We averaged 5.6 liters per 100 clicks in the sports car. That's fabulous fuel economy for such a little thing.
You are very excited about fuel economy, I know. So that's awesome.
Lots of people were interested in the car, though.
That was weird. Like, people were bizarrely kind of obsessed with it.
Oh, they were, like 5 different people.
One who was super high.
5 groups, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy.
Randy.
Randy. Yeah,
he was super high.
He was, but he was the first one, and then
very friendly.
and
very
then 3
friendly.
ladies came over, and she's like, "I drive a Lexus SC430, but I want that. We're going to be buying that." I'm like, "Okay, very well. Enjoy."
So yeah, no, we had a fun time and we had a good day, and now here we are. It's like 9:00 at night,
And it's still sunshine.
still shiny, which is nice because of course we have to get up in the morning and go to work and start all over again.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah.
Monday.
By the time people hear this, we will have added to our household.
Oh, yes.
We are, I can say it now because I'm going to put it all out on social media tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He is an older, distinguished gentleman. He is half Havanese, half terrier, maybe.
Who knows?
And his name is Moby because I think he could be a little bit of a dick.
Yes. Moby Dick.
Moby, and he is 10. He's 10 years old. He has outlived 2 owners.
Yes. He's the bringer of death.
The bringer of death.
The dog of death.
He's a harbinger. We found him through Elder Dog Victoria. Elder Dog is a group here in Canada that tries to help people who are elderly who can no longer walk their dogs. They have volunteers who go and walk their dogs
really
for them.
nice, eh?
Yeah. Or if the owner can no longer take care of the dog, either through their own health or
well,
you
poor
know,
Moby's case.
they're dead. Yeah. They will try and find new owners for the dog. So Moby came from Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
And his owner sadly passed, and then Moby was adopted by someone very excited to have him here in Victoria, and then they died. So now he's going to be moving in with us. So you've heard it here first. If Jason or I drop dead, you will know why it was the dog of death.
Dog of death.
Dog of death. But he is
so handsome.
He's very handsome. 17 pounds.
Life. Actually, maybe he's sucking the life
He's
out of it.
he's like some sort of life vampire.
You never know.
We'll have to watch him closely. Yeah. So, but anyway, Moby will be with us on Monday night. So by the time you hear this, he will have been with us for a couple of days. And
speaking of death, we lost one quail this weekend.
Oh my
Poor
gosh. So I had, you may know if you follow us on social media, you will know that I had a quail that I had to euthanize. It was a baby. It had splay legs. I couldn't help him. I tried and I had to euthanize him. I was very upset. And then last night, further tragedy ensued. Was it last night or?
No, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
He killed one.
No, he killed himself.
Well, that's true.
He committed suicide through misadventure is what we're going with.
Yeah.
I have them in a brooder. It has a top on it. These guys are now at the point where they can fly. They like to fly. They can't go very far, but they can kind of go up in the air and come down again.
Think chicken flight.
Think chicken flight, exactly.
Or
a peacock. So as he flew up, I heard the flap, 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 and I pushed the lid down onto the brooder. And as I did, he must have hit it at exactly the wrong angle as I brought the lid down, and it broke his neck.
Poor little guy.
Poor little Ian. I was totally traumatized. So we are now down to 5.
5 hatched eggs.
Yes, 5 hatchlings, 4 grown-ups. 5 out of
7.
It's not bad, but still, I just can't go around killing quail. I just can't go.
No,
I just can't do it.
No one wants to do that.
No. So that trauma was with me, but now we're moving on.
I said goodbye to it. I went down and I petted it and said, "Be safe." Now it's in little quail heaven. Poor little quail.
Yeah, poor thing. So that's sort of been our weekend. It's
been busy and eventful.
I'm thinking back on it now, going, "Holy cats!" Yeah, my mom showed up on Friday, and then she's out and then in and Kyle and
We
Charlotte.
were shuffling people in a fleet of cars around this town.
It was crazy. It was a really crazy busy weekend. And now here it is, 9:00. It's Sunday night, and we're trying to get this done too. So there we are.
We got to use our new Venza.
True. That was good for hauling people around.
We're going to call it, we're taking out the Vens as opposed to the Bens.
Yeah, we're just going to say the Vens.
The Vens.
That sounds cool. So back to our stories. We're looking at 2 buildings tonight. One is 1250 Wharf Street, which is the Yates Building. And that was built by a man who, by the time he built that one, he had built quite a few buildings along Wharf Street. This building really did secure him and his family with financial freedom or success. And he called it after himself, the Yates Building. Known, especially recently, and in my book, Victoria's Most Haunted, it's known as the Guild because it was a pub. For quite a while. The only tenant in there now is the Pacific Academy of Art and Design, because the Guild is closed. Someone else has bought the building, a man from Vancouver, and he wants to put in a 25-room boutique hotel.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Given the nature of this building, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out.
Well, you never know. I mean, someone bought Kurt Cobain's house. We actually thought about buying it. I really wanted to buy it. Actually.
No, we didn't.
I did. Oh my gosh. So getting off a little off track, we went to see Kurt Cobain's house.
I think we talked about it on the podcast before. Yeah. So probably along those same lines. You never know. It's
maybe
true.
some people want to be in haunted places.
Oh no, it's a whole industry. But whether or not you can sustain that in Victoria, I don't know. Maybe.
I have no idea.
Maybe you only tell certain people.
It's interesting because Kyle was saying when he was on tour at a place recently, it will remain unnamed, but unofficially it's haunted. Officially it is not.
Yes, and I'm actually we're probably going to do an episode on it anyway.
Yeah, of course.
The person who I knew no longer works there, so too bad.
Yeah, oh well.
All the gloves are off. We're doing it.
It's fun, but it is a classic building.
Yes, and it definitely has some ghost stories. So, and actually,
100%.
Kyle and Charlotte both said they felt something in the same room.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up with that.
And hi, Kyle. Hi, Charlotte. It was nice to meet you.
It was awesome.
Welcome back.
Oh, I forgot to say one thing about the dog.
Uh-oh.
Thanks to our patron Evan.
Oh yeah. Yes.
We're going to be picking out outfits for the dog because I know Evan loves dressing his dog up.
Oh yeah.
They have a little dog named Yeti, who is a little Scottish terrier, and we're gonna get like outdoorsy outfits and formal outfits, perhaps some capes.
Yeah.
Who can say?
Actually, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
You got to keep the dog warm. He's old.
He's old.
Yeah, no.
He needs active wear.
Formal wear.
So thank you, Evan, for that. We're giving you all the credit for causing us to consider dressing our dog in clothes. So
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do it, honestly.
I have no idea.
I can barely dress myself.
But big shout out to Evan. We did pick out a bow, I thought.
His collar had a little... We didn't get that one.
We didn't get that one, though. We got one of the more fancy ones.
we had a bit of a moment in the pet store.
Linen collar, isn't it?
It's got leather and it's got material on it, but
it's leather and linen.
Well, we had a bit of a thing with it because we were like, do we get the normal collar, just the nylon one? Do we get the fancy collar? Do we get the outdoorsy collar with a little carabiner on it?
That's right.
We're like, what is our dog's personality? We don't know.
We don't know such things.
I didn't know there was more than one leash and collar combo. I figured
it was easier in the old days when it was just a choke chain.
Oh my gosh. How about one of the nice ones with spikes? Would you prefer that?
No, those ones, I thought they were mean.
Well, I think they are
choke
mean.
Chains are fine. Because if you put them on the right way when you're doing your training, it automatically releases.
Well, I think maybe they need a rebranding. I think that's part of the problem. The choke chain.
That's fair.
Anyway, so back to the stories. The Guild, as I'm going to be referring to it as, even though it's closed now, the Guild building is mildly terrifying. And there's some stories from the basement there from 2 different businesses, as well as the main floor and the second floor. So,
why do ghosts want to be in the basement? Why not just go around?
I don't know. Maybe that's where they prefer. Maybe it's closer to the ground where the energy is.
Well, that's fair.
Metaphysical. Yeah. So that's the Guild, and of course it backs out onto the water. The other building houses the Keg. And the Keg, for those of you who don't know, is a big Canadian steakhouse chain. And I mentioned this in the story, that they just seem to love old, weird, haunted buildings. Every city the Keg is in, they're in some weird building. And this one's no exception.
And same with the one on Quadra Street. It's also in an interesting old building.
Yeah, it's an old pump house, I think.
Yeah.
And now
I have felt stuff in the other one.
The one on Quadra?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a very weird space. They always keep the buildings dark. The restaurants are dark.
Not dank. They're dark.
Dank chicken nuggies.
Dank chicky nuggies.
No, they're just dark. No one wants that. No. But yeah, so the other building, the reason it is so unusual is because the whole block there went up in 1860. And then we actually do talk about it in our very first episode, Helm Canale. And the building the Keg is in did not go up until 1920. And there's a good reason for that. And the reason being, Dr. Helmkin had his little log cabin office at the end of Helmkin Alley, which is now what the Keg restaurant building blocks off. But no one wanted to upset him. And so they waited until after he died to knock down the log cabin and then put up this building in 1920. And that's kind of why I think all the weird things happen in there.
It could be.
Because it's literally blocking a major thoroughfare and a really, really busy corner when the place was Fort Victoria. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's all sort of come together that way. We've gone to the Keg there. Have you ever felt anything weird in there?
Actually, yes, I have. On the second floor when we dined on the upper floor. Yes.
I agree with you. The second floor is way weirder than the first floor.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And ironically, they keep sticking us up there. I wonder why that is. It's not because they know who we are.
Not at all. We've been there like twice.
Don't you know who I am? It's not my favorite expression whatsoever. No. I did run into someone who used that on me.
Yes, you did.
Sharon Lawrence.
Okay, you can't name and shame.
What? I'm not naming and shame. She actually used that on me, and I was like, I don't know.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Well, you didn't, so that ended that.
Yeah, I if you're a listener, I hope you're well. But that was a long time ago. That was what, 2006, when I was at the Urban Fair.
You were like 11.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was working at the Urban Fair, and she bought a whole bunch of groceries, 2 bags. Let's say this. 2 bags cost about $3,000 or whatever. Oops. If you heard that, that's my hands getting animated.
It's not ghosts. It's just Jason getting upset.
So, it was like, yeah, $3,000 for a couple bags of groceries because there were all sorts of exotic things. And she pulls out her, whatever it is, first you say bank Visa, and it says CID. And so I'm like, I'll see your ID. And she's like, don't you know who I am? And I'm like, no. Should I?
Your credit card says I need to see your ID, so I need to see your ID. What's the problem here?
She starts getting upset, and I say, well, that's $3,000 worth of groceries in these 2 little bags. So you can either just let me see your ID, or I will just say goodbye.
Go away.
So she finally reneged, and that's how
she
I
huffed
found
and
out.
puffed. And, but even then, you didn't know who she was.
No, I didn't. And so, anyways, moving on, the next set of people were so excited. They're like, oh, is that Sharon Lawrence from NYPD Blue? I'm like, oh, I guess. I think that's what her ID said. I said, she was a little bit cranky. And they said, oh, yeah, they just killed her off in the series. I'm like, oh.
Maybe that's why she was cranky.
I was like, okay.
And for someone who is now unemployed, she probably shouldn't be spending $3,000 on groceries. Just saying.
That's a fair point. Yeah. There was all sorts of weird things in that bag. I can't remember what it was, but I know it was for anyone who knows about the Urban Fair, it's kind of it's not so much now, but it was a very high-end
grocery store in the heart of Vancouver.
Yeah, on Davie Street, 177 Davie Street, downtown Vancouver. I met some A-list people in there. I served Danny DeVito.
Mm-hmm. Robin Williams.
Yeah, I didn't serve him, but he was there. He was just sitting around the corner having a coffee. Oprah Winfrey. Who else? Morgan Freeman.
Yep. And you said everyone else was nice.
Baywatch. What was her name?
Pamela Anderson.
No.
Oh.
McCarthy.
Oh, Jenny McCarthy.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she was done up to the nines.
As
she was
you
wearing
do.
this really beautiful white jacket. It was fur, and I guess that's for faux pas now. But
terrible.
Back then, it was amazing. So, anyways, this store was a little bit off the charts. I mean, they fly bread in once a day from France called Poilade, and it's $100 a loaf.
That's insane.
And they have Bling H2O water at the time. And I'm not kidding. It's called Bling. It was $1,000 a bottle.
That's so nuts. I got to have lunch with Alice from the Brady Bunch and B. Davis. She was lovely.
Fun.
And I met Katie Lang.
Ooh, that's cool.
And that was about it.
Beautiful.
She's really cool. But that was about it. That was kind of my big... I've seen other people, like when I lived in Toronto, I let Margaret Atwood cut in front of me in line at the Shoppers Drug Mart. That was exciting. But I didn't know it was her because there's this little lady behind me with big red hair. And she had one item. And I went, oh, please go. I've got all this. And she goes, oh, thank you. And she goes up. And I still didn't catch on. But when she turned sideways to pay... I saw her face and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Margaret Atwood. But of course I'm Canadian, so of course I didn't say anything or gush or anything. Yeah. And then I saw some people on the streetcar in Toronto who were famous, but no, I just don't, I would sooner poke my own eyes out than go up to someone and be like, I love your things.
Well, if Madonna came into the Urban Fair, well, not now, but
back when she was relevant.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, Madonna.
But no, otherwise,
we did go to her place in Beverly Hills. That was cool. I showed you where she lived. We
right.
Yeah. Anyways, long story short, so this is how you pivot.
Yeah.
So how we're pivoting is all the way back to Don't You Know Who I Am and going up to the second floor of the keg.
We are amazing at getting off topic.
We just took a drive into nowhere.
You've pretty much just seen how most of our conversations go.
Ooh,
this is why we never get anything done.
It was fun. I do have a special place in my heart for the Urban Fair. I keep wanting to go there.
He does all the time.
It's fun. Actually, I speaking of the Canadian way, that's why a lot of the A-list actors and actresses went there.
Yeah.
Because people don't pounce on them.
Yeah.
Although when they were around, you felt the place get really energetic.
There was something weird.
Oh yeah. Everyone got kind of buzzy. Like, do you know who's in it?
That's really cool.
Yeah, but you could sense everyone, the shoppers, everyone was kind of like, "Oh my gosh,
that's awesome!
Look who's over there?"
Yeah, I get it. All right, so those are our two buildings, both on Wharf Street, both in Victoria. Mm-hmm. I was going to say when I go on Wharf Street, I always think of the SS Valencia, which is another episode we're going to do.
Yeah,
it is a crazy ghost ship story. Yeah, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to head off into our story time.
Yeah.
Before Jason and I go down any more wanderings down memory lane. And we will see you on the other side.
Enjoy.
As I've talked about in the history, this building is a very interesting one in terms of just historical things. But for our purposes, we're going to be talking about it as it has been a restaurant called The Keg. So if you don't know, if you're not from Canada, you won't know this. But the restaurant, The Keg, always seems to be in haunted old buildings, old pump houses, whatever. The Keg just seems to really enjoy being in these old haunted buildings. And this one is absolutely not an exception. The restaurant at the corner of Wharf and Fort Streets certainly has had some ghostly issues, especially when they were undergoing renovations in the early 2000s. Shadow people in the kitchen, perfectly set tables being messed up, and unexplained noises in an otherwise empty restaurant were pretty standard experiences for the staff in the keg. But once the renovation started, it riled up whatever entities were in there. Renovations or major changes to any building seem to lead to increased activity in the spirit world. No one's really sure why, but it may be that just the spirits dislike change of any kind. Perhaps it's because they don't understand what's going on. A friend of mine, and I've talked about her before, she'd had some spirits in her home, and she found things getting really heated up with just the renovations going on, and she just got fed up with it. People were taking off on her, the workers, and she finally kind of said, look, you just need to stop, or we're going to be leaving, and that will be it. The renovations continued on without a problem after that, when she really kind of put her foot down, and they settled into their normal occasional routines with the weird thump and bumps every once in a while, but on the whole, everything calmed down. But the good people running the keg, unfortunately, were granted no such respite. As renovations on the restaurant continued, the spirit activity actually ramped up. More shadow figures were seen, and not just in the kitchen anymore. They were also seen in the restaurant dining room. Things in the kitchen came off the shelves. The pots hanging on racks would clank together when there was nothing there to move them. In one case, a full wine glass shattered spontaneously at a table. The servers moved the startled couple to a new table without admitting anything unusual had happened. Glasses would move around on their own. And set tables weren't just messed up. Cutlery and napkins from place settings were found under the tables that they were supposed to be on. One of the most upsetting things for the customers was that people would frequently get locked in the bathrooms when there wasn't even a way to lock the bathroom door. The doors would just stick closed, and no amount of hauling on it would move the door until whatever was holding it closed decided to let it go. That would not be cool. Once the renovation was over, things seemed to settle down again. Well, as settled as they get. They still see the shadow people passing through the kitchen, which was built directly in the original gateway of the old fort, which we talked about in episode number 1, Helmkin Alley. The shadow people don't seem interested in what's going on around them. They're just spirits going about their day. No one in the service industry seems to be too bothered about the ghosts that haunt Victoria's restaurants, and indeed hotels. Most of them have at least one story to tell, but it's generally understood that we share the buildings we use today with those who came before us. It's so common in downtown that it's really not that big of a deal. But it's great news if you're into ghosts. All right, so Jay and I are downtown. Jason's actually here with me for a change. Say hi, Jay.
Hi.
And we are down in front of the Guild building. Tonight's story time is the Keg and also the Guild, which sadly the Guild is no more. But I think, didn't you and I go for dinner there one time?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. They had bacon in a glass.
That's right. I remember that. It was so tasty.
And we did make a point of not going downstairs into the bathroom, however, right?
That's right. I heard bad things about that. I'm not really interested.
And you are 100% right about that. It's not a good place to be. So it is in the book Victoria's Most Haunted. It's its own chapter, and I'm just going to share that with you now. The building on Wharf Street that houses this restaurant has been a number of things in its past. It was originally a warehouse in the late 1800s, serving the wharf. It's known for having a huge whale mural on one side of it, but it's also known for having more than one ghost story emerge from within its walls. Even before I knew this building had a history, I remember going there in 2007 when it was another restaurant. I had had a meal, and I went downstairs to use the restroom, and the lower down I got to get down into the basement, the more uncomfortable I felt. I went into the bathroom, and I had to keep turning around because I was genuinely convinced there was someone in there with me, and I couldn't wait to get out. I practically backed out of the bathroom and then bolted up the stairs feeling a little foolish. Now that I've heard some of the other stories and talked to some of the people who currently work there, or who currently worked there, I don't feel as foolish. The story of an experience of a young woman had while attending a Chinese medicine school that was located in the basement level of the building has definitely stuck around. The young lady was heading to the school for a class, and there were some colorful characters who hang around the park beside the building. That hasn't changed. The school had a protocol. Each student was given a key to enter the building through the creepy steel door on the side.
Once through the door, they were instructed to lock it behind them and then open up the second door, to go down the long dark hallway towards the classroom at the end of the hall. As this student went in the front door, she turned to lock it behind her, and once this was accomplished, she opened the second door. But as she did, she felt a large, bulky male presence push past her and hurry down the hall. She could see him framed in the light from the classroom at the end of the hall. The lights in the hallway were off, and the switch was halfway down the long hall. She moved quickly towards the switch. She could see the man going down the hall and began calling out to him. "Excuse me, I'm sorry, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here." She finally reached the switch, but when she turned on the light, the outline of the man disappeared, and at this point she was very upset and made her way to the classroom, where she quickly relayed what had just happened. As she did, she saw that other students were nodding their heads as if they had had the same experience. The instructors took it seriously, and one of the Feng Shui masters created a large, poster-sized set of gold characters that were believed to ward off evil. It didn't do everything they'd hoped for, and the school soon moved on. But it gets weirder. When the guild was open, I was able to speak to a number of the servers who worked at that restaurant. They have had a startlingly high number of experiences in the building. One woman, Laura, told me she often hears someone walking around in the back staircase. Laura knows it's a male presence, and she often hears him ascending and descending the stairs when she's the only one in the restaurant. One of her most upsetting moments back there was when she walked into the stairway and happened to look up. She saw a man hanging from the landing as if he had just committed suicide. She backed out of the stairwell and now avoids it as best she can. While she still hears the footsteps, she's never seen the hanged man again, but she did talk about hearing someone crying in the stairwell as well. Another server, Julia, had a unique experience. One night she was waiting for a group to leave and actually fell asleep in the upper room they use for private parties. Unbeknownst to her, when she awoke, it was 3 a.m. Not only had the group left, but the restaurant was shut and locked down. No one else was in the building. It appeared the other staff had forgotten she was up there. But as she struggled to wake up, she could hear voices downstairs, all male. Oh no, she thought. Are they still here? Julia figured she'd better get downstairs, or they might never leave. She reached the top of the stairs and realized all the lights were out. Then she walked down the stairs, and she knew then that it was much later than she'd thought, and the restaurant was in fact empty. The voices continued, loud enough to be heard, but not loud enough to be distinct. Julia began walking towards the back of the restaurant when she heard the voices, but just before she reached the back, the voices stopped. By this time, it felt to her like hours had passed rather than minutes. She knew something strange was going on, and she got out of there as quickly as possible. At other times, she felt extremely uncomfortable in the basement, storeroom, an experience she shared with the other servers. The last server with whom I spoke shared a few of the same experiences, but along with the storeroom and the sounds of someone climbing up and down the stairs, also as well the uncomfortable feeling downstairs where the washrooms are, Carrie had her own unusual experience in the building. One night after the restaurant closed, she was rolling cutlery into napkins for the next day. She was alone in the dining room, and she became aware of a presence beside her, watching what she was doing with interest. Carrie didn't look up, but saw in her peripheral vision that there was a man who had just walked up beside her. She could see the brown shoes, the pants, even the piping on his jacket. But when she looked up, no one was there. There's no doubt in her mind about what she saw. She believes that her place of employment, where the servers not only used to serve great food, but it's also profoundly haunted. When I went there with Dawn Kirkham, founder of Beyond Belief Paranormal, we shared some appetizers and spoke of what we felt in the restaurant. Dawn picked up on a formally dressed male who was leaning in and very interested in our conversation. She also picked up on a female presence who was dressed as if she worked in the shop in the early 1900s. When we started looking at the pictures around the walls and around the restaurant, there was a picture of the building, and it had been home to a retail establishment at one time. So it was nice to see some confirmation. Neither of the presences were particularly intrusive, but they were both there and fascinated with what was going on. Dawn and I agreed that the guild was definitely home to more than one spirit. And now that building has been put up for sale, and I believe someone from Vancouver has bought it. And you know what he wants to do with it?
What's that?
Turn it into a boutique hotel.
Oh, would be interesting.
I won't be staying there.
No, I might. It would be interesting to see.
Nope, not doing it. The other thing was the servers told me that when they would go down in the basement, if they had to go down there to get something from the storeroom, they would just say to one of the other servers, hey, I have to go get some more napkins or whatever. And the other person would just automatically go, oh, okay, let's go. They would never let each other go down there by themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
I felt something in there for sure. It feels a bit unsettled, but I think, during the day, like everything else, it's just normal.
It seems to be during evenings it gets weirder for sure. But yeah, downstairs was the worst.
I don't doubt it.
All right, thanks for heading back, and we will do our wrap up when we get there.
Thanks, bye.
And welcome back. Thank you for hearing the stories. I hope you enjoyed them and they were as exciting as we promised.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
The Guild really was a very visceral experience for me. I remember being there and just thinking, oh, there's something so wrong with this place.
I agree.
And so to go back all those years later when I was writing the book and talk to them and find out, oh yeah, it's bad, was actually really good. So I don't know what's going to happen to that building. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with it. I can't imagine it working as a hotel. I can't imagine. Well, I mean, I suppose if you're not sensitive to that kind of thing, it's not going to bother you. But if you are, oh my goodness.
Well, there are a few places in town, like the Empress.
Yes.
And the Delta, they all have their own spirits.
No,
right?
that's true. And people still stay there.
Come and go.
Yeah, no, you're right. We want to make a point of saying thank you to all of our lovely, lovely patrons.
Yeah, we're very grateful.
Oh,
thank you
my gosh, so grateful. You're keeping it going here. Trying our best, and you guys are really supporting us on a very real level. So thank you.
It's tons of fun. Oh my gosh, I ran into someone on the street.
Like you hit someone with your car
at Market, the Market in Yates. Oh yeah. It was a bit of a surprise anyways.
Well, I'm sure they're very excited to see you, and you are going to run into people who listen to the show.
Yeah.
And they are going to recognize you. Remember I had that experience where I was in San Diego and someone recognized my voice?
Oh, yes. That was his
he listens to the show now. That was Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Chris.
And we're going to see Chris. He's coming out.
Yeah.
He's coming out in July.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll be going out in August.
We'll be going to Calgary in August. One thing to talk about.
What's that?
Remember on the last episode, I said, because I literally thought of it in the moment when we were on the show, and I said, I think I'm going to ask for an extension on the Calgary book.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Turns out my publisher does still listen to the show.
Oh, my gosh. Yay.
But I sent her an email and said, can I please have? And she said, absolutely, because they could not have been
It'll be a lot of work for my photos and all that. So this way, interviews will be good.
Yeah, and we can do the interviews, and we can go out and take pictures and spend that time out there, and then we're gonna head to Prince George.
Oh, and we want to send out condolences to Barb, our friend.
Yes. Yeah.
We miss you, and we're sending you all our love for what happened.
We're sorry for your loss, and we want you to know that we love you and appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
She emails me after every single episode.
Oh,
yeah, well, and tells me what she thought. So I really appreciate that.
May he rest in peace.
Absolutely. Barb recently lost her husband, so we just want to say we're sorry and we love you.
Yeah, we do.
So we are also going to say thank you to our patrons.
Yes.
So we'll start her off. Shall I start this time?
You go ahead.
All right, here we go. We want to say thank you to the lovely Sherry,
Brooks,
Marion,
Kathleen,
Alexa,
Debbie,
Jackie,
Charlotte,
Julie,
Ruth,
Rebecca,
Mary Frances,
Cassie,
Gina and Victoria.
Sandy.
Christopher.
David.
Ashley.
Jeremiah.
Mamere.
Elizabeth.
BB Nix.
Melinda.
Jordan.
Tammy.
James.
Taya.
Evan.
Arwen.
Steve.
Kyle and Charlotte.
Catherine.
And Mari. Thank you
thank you very much.
You guys.
It's wonderful to have the support and the help and
all of it.
The ability to actually pay for gas.
Yeah, exactly.
To get where we're going.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
And also, if you're thinking about becoming a patron, please, we would love to have you. Patreon.com /GhostsNBears. And we have lots of tiers, $5 a month, 10, 15, right up to 20. And any of those tiers are going to help us out. And you get something out of it too. You're going to get to hear the off-week episodes of Ghost Stories We Have Heard. Yeah, our bonus episodes. As well as you're going to get your decal or your coffee mug or your t-shirt, depending on what level you're at. So also, we do have a once-a-month private call with our patrons too. So we want you to be in on that so we can chat with you. So keep that in mind. And we're really grateful for all the people who have taken advantage of that. We're also really grateful because what we do as well is we tell the stories on Ghost Stories We Have Heard that we have heard, but also from you.
Yes, that's right. Actually, I had a really good one recently from a listener.
Yeah.
So we're excited to tell
Yeah, absolutely. So please send in your ghost stories. We want to hear them. We're happy to share them. You let us know. Do you want us to change your name? Do you want us not to say your name at all? We're happy either way. It's totally up to you. But we get a real kick out of sharing the stories with other people and just making sure that your story gets heard. So please share that with us. We've kind of gone to a new format now. We're not going to do, I read a story, Jason reads a story. I read a story, Jason reads a story. Because we were finding we just didn't have the time to sit down and do it. What we do is
we travel.
We travel. And so we thought, well, what a fun way to take our listeners with us.
Yeah.
So now we do Ghost Stories We Have Heard on the go. On the road, exactly.
Yeah.
And I read the stories. Jay is all mic'd up. I'm all mic'd up. And Jay reads, I read the story. And then Jason and I talk about it. So
it's fun.
Well, you still get the ghost stories. I try not to get nauseous depending on your driving. And
oh my goodness. I don't drive that bad.
No, but sometimes the road's kind of bumpy.
Yeah.
And I get a little sick.
Well, if we're in the sports car,
I just have to make the font bigger because I'm old. I think that's probably.
We could take the Venza. I think that's like. One of my friends asked, he's a listener, Fern. Hi, Fern. What the Venza's like to drive. I said, it's like a cloud. It's like, I feel like I'm driving. It's just
a really, really, really gentle Toyota. That's really what it is.
It shocks everyone who sees it.
Yeah. It's a big beast of a thing.
So one of Ian's students is 6'3". And he sat in the back because I said it's like a limo in the back. He sat in the back, and there was still 5 inches of room.
Yeah, he was happy.
He was like, happy. I've never been in a big thing this big.
Well, you don't get the rear row of seats, but it's a big car.
That's the beauty.
That way they can give you extra room for people.
What a Venza is to our listeners is kind of like it's a Sienna blended with a Highlander.
Right, which are all Toyota products for those of you who don't care about cars.
But they take the third row seats and they throw them away. Yeah. So the back seat is for comfiness.
And it is. So yeah, when we're on the road, we will be recording new episodes of Ghost Stories We Have Heard. And those drop on the off weeks that we don't put out a new episode. So that's for all of our patrons. No matter what level of patron you are at, you get to hear Ghost Stories We Have Heard on the road. Mm-hmm. So we hope you'll join us for that. And like I say, please do send in your stories. You can email us, which is the easiest thing to do for story submission, at ghostsandbears@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And you can keep up with us on all the socials. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And again, it's just Ghosts and Bears. And you'll find us wherever you happen to consume your social media content.
And spread us around,
Yeah, hey, if you can give us a review on iTunes,
let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, let us know how we're doing. Don't let us know how we're doing in the review. If you've got something you would rather like to see changed or something, send us an email, let us know, and we will absolutely take that under advisement.
We will reach out to our fact checker at UVic.
Yeah.
And find out what's up. Maybe we can bring him on board and say he can be our historian.
He can be our historical fact checker.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I can't. I just can't.
That's all right.
Otherwise, we want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking by us. We are incredibly grateful that you do. And it's exciting for us to see the show keep growing.
It is growing.
Yeah. And seeing...
we had a spike in numbers, which is kind of cool.
It was really wild. Yeah.
I don't know what reached out.
We have no idea what happened, but we're grateful for it.
A ghost has reached out.
But we're really grateful for it. So thank you, everyone who's listening. Please do keep listening. We're going to be here every other week. And we're just here to share with you different historical places, different historical events, the ghost stories that happened. And unlike...
Ooh, and we're going to the Okanagan Valley next weekend, so we'll be recording there too.
Oh, yeah. We're going to record there too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll be in the valley.
Yeah. So please, if you've got any stories about the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia,
send them in.
Send them in. We'd love to hear them.
I'll get some pictures. I'm looking forward to that. We've been kind of stuck on the island for a while.
Island bound. So it'll be nice to get out of here. Yeah, the vid.
Monkeypox, that's the new thing.
Well, and flooding. There's flooding right now.
I know.
So it's yeah.
So be safe and stay dry. Be safe.
And keep pox free.
Yeah, no one wants monkeypox.
No one wants monkeypox.
Apparently, there's now 2 cases in BC.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it's making its way west.
Yeah, it's here.
Ugh, not good. I don't want
thankfully,
monkeypox.
I shouldn't say thankfully.
No, I heard you can get it just through touch now.
You can get it through touch, and you can get it through breathing and coughing.
Ew.
So it's so I'm really hopeful it doesn't spread that.
I'm not touching anybody or breathing on anybody, and no one better breathe on me. I'm gonna walk around with like sanitizer spray and just spray at people, like just randomly, like that come up and I'll go get away.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
just walk around with a Lysol aerosol
spray,
in the air. What
like,
are you doing?
Like a 1970s hairspray commercial.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, I'll just do
BO5
that.
hot oil.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to our stories about Wharf Street. And remember, when you're thinking about podcasts, we're the only podcast that gives you the actual ghost story
with the actual history
in the actual place. And hopefully one day soon,
that place will be with you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.